The morning sun rose over the curved horizon of Proxima Centauri b, casting long shadows across the metal and glass buildings of New Horizon Colony. John Carter stood at the large window in his apartment, sipping his coffee as he looked out at humanity's first deep space settlement. After 5 years here, the view still amazed him. The blue-tinted atmosphere created spectacular sunrises, so different from Earth but beautiful in their own way. "Dad, have you seen my pilot manual?" Kyle. Carter walked into the living area, his dark hair still messy from sleep. At 17, Kyle had grown tall, almost matching his father's 6-foot frame. "Check under your flight simulator," John replied, turning from the window with a smile. "You left it there after practice yesterday." Kyle snapped his fingers. "Right, thanks." He paused, looking at his father. "You're going to be late for work again." John glanced at the time display on his wrist unit and sighed. Chief engineer can't be late to his own meeting, I suppose. He drained his coffee and set down the cup. "Remember, we're testing the new atmospheric stabilizers today. The colony might experience some pressure changes." "I know, Dad. They sent alerts to everyone." Kyle rolled his eyes good-naturedly. "I have simulator training until noon. Then I'm meeting friends at the recreation dome." John grabbed his work tablet and ruffled Kyle's hair as he passed. "Don't work too hard on that. Simulator. When you're the best pilot in the colony, they'll let you fly the real ship soon enough." "That's the plan," Kyle grinned, ducking away from his father's hand. John paused at the door. "Mom would be proud of you, you know." Kyle's smile softened. "She'd be proud of both of us." With a nod, John left for work. Neither of them knew these would be among their last words to each other. 40 light-years away, aboard the massive command vessel of the Garaxian Empire, the architect stood motionless before a holographic display of human expansion. His 8-foot frame cast long shadows across the bridge, his scaled skin reflecting the blue light of the display. 4 yellow eyes narrowed as he studied the data. "The humans have established a colony in the Proxima Centauri system," reported Commander Vrax, his lower arms operating controls while his upper arms remained folded in respect. "Their technology advances more rapidly than we predicted." Though, Architect's voice rumbled like distant thunder. "They are spreading too quickly. All emerging species must be contained until properly assessed. We have monitored their communications," Vrax continued. "They speak of more colonies. Their ships grow faster and more advanced with each cycle." The architect touched a claw to the display, zooming in on New Horizon Colony. "They are still primitive compared to the Empire, but their rate of advancement is concerning. Shall we establish diplomatic contact?" "Our studies show they might be receptive." "No," the architect cut him off. "The Empire does not negotiate with developing species. We set boundaries. Those who respect them may eventually join the galactic community. Those who don't..." He let the thought hang unfinished. "Understood, Eminence. What are your orders?" The architect's decision took only moments. "Prepare a strike force. We will make an example of this colony. Show them the consequences of unchecked expansion." "As you command." Vrax bowed deeply. "The battle group will depart immediately." John was halfway through his shift when the colony's alarms began blaring. At first he thought it was related to the atmospheric tests, but the emergency code was wrong. This was something else. His communication device buzzed urgently. "Carter, we're picking up multiple objects entering orbit. They're not ours." The voice of Security Chief Rogers was tight with controlled panic. John's fingers flew across his control panel. "I see them. Size and configuration unlike anything in our database." The engineer in him noted the advanced design even as fear began to rise in his chest. "We're trying to establish communication, but they're not responding," Rogers continued. "Get to shelter immediately." John was already moving. Only one thought filled his mind. Kyle. The first impacts shook the colony before John reached the exit. Massive explosions rocked the foundations, throwing him against a wall. Recovery systems activated automatically, emergency shields deploying over critical infrastructure. But these were designed for meteor strikes and system failures, not a coordinated attack. John ran through corridors filled with panicking colonists. The community center had the strongest bunker. That's where Kyle's flight school was located. He had to get there. Outside, the sky was filled with sleek angular vessels, their hulls reflecting the colony's sun with an otherworldly sheen. They moved with impossible precision, targeting communications arrays and defense systems with surgical strikes. John fought against the crowd fleeing in the opposite direction. His wrist unit couldn't connect to Kyle's. Communications were down. The ground shook again as another explosion ripped through a nearby building. When he finally reached the community center, John found it partially collapsed. Desperation gave him strength as he clawed through debris, calling Kyle's name. Other parents were doing the same, voices rising in a chorus of fear and hope. "Dad! Dad!" The voice cut through the chaos, and John turned to see Kyle helping a younger student through a gap in the rubble. "Kyle!" John rushed forward, pulling his son into a crushing embrace. "Are you hurt?" "I'm okay," Kyle said, though his face was streaked with dirt and blood. "What's happening? Who's attacking us?" "I don't know. We need to get to the emergency shuttles." John looked around. "The main path is blocked. We'll have to go through maintenance tunnels." They helped others where they could, but John's priority was clear. The colony was dying around them. Their only hope was to reach the escape vessels on the far side of the settlement. The maintenance tunnels were dark, emergency lighting casting everything in red shadows. John led the way, Kyle close behind. They were halfway to the shuttle bay when the tunnel ahead burst open. Standing in the breach were beings neither had ever seen before. The Garaxian soldiers towered over them, armored and armed with weapons that hummed with energy. Their 4 eyes glowed in the darkness, fixed on the humans with cold intelligence. John pushed Kyle behind him. "We're unarmed," he said, hoping against hope that these beings understood human speech or had translation technology. The lead soldier studied them, then spoke in perfect English. "You are John Carter, chief engineer of this colony." John's blood ran cold. "How do you know my name?" "We know everything about this settlement," the alien replied. "You are instrumental to its operations, and this is your offspring." More soldiers appeared behind them, cutting off escape. "What do you want?" John asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "The Empire requires a demonstration." The soldier's voice was emotionless. "Your species must understand its place." John realized, with growing horror, what was about to happen. He turned to Kyle, gripping his shoulders. "Whatever happens, know that I love you. Your mother and I have always been proud of you." Kyle's eyes widened with fear and understanding. "Dad, take them," the commander ordered. They were marched to the colony's central plaza. Other captured colonists were already there, held at weapon point. Floating devices hovered above, capturing everything. The architect's massive holographic form appeared above the plaza, visible to all surviving colonists. "Humans of Earth," his voice boomed. "Your uncontrolled expansion ends today. The Garaxian Empire has maintained order in this galaxy for millennia. You will learn respect." John stood tall, one arm around Kyle. If these were their final moments, he would face them with dignity. "Let this be a lesson," the architect continued. "These deaths are the consequence of your ambition." The commander raised his weapon. John turned to shield Kyle, but soldiers wrenched them apart. Their eyes met one last time. "I love you, Dad," Kyle said. "I love you too, son." The weapons discharged in unison. On Earth, millions of screens suddenly displayed the execution. The Garaxian message was simple and terrible. "Expansion stops now." In that moment, humanity's grief crystallized into something else. Something the Garaxian Empire had never encountered in all its long history. Rage. Silence filled the United Earth Council chamber. 50 world leaders sat motionless, staring at the screen that had just shown the execution of John and Kyle Carter. The recording had ended, but no one spoke. Some had tears streaming down their faces. Others sat with clenched jaws and fists. President Olivia Patterson finally stood. At 62, she had guided humanity through countless crises, but nothing like this. Her voice trembled slightly as she broke the silence. "We have just witnessed an act of war," she said. not just against our colony, but against every human being. Admiral Diane Nelson, head of Earth's United Space Command, stepped forward. Her uniform was crisp, but her eyes were red. Initial reports suggest there are survivors on New Horizon. The aliens, these Garaxians, destroyed our defense systems and communications infrastructure, then left after broadcasting the execution. Why? Asked the representative from Brazil. Why kill civilians? Why John and Kyle Carter specifically? General Frank Miller cleared his throat. Intelligence suggests John Carter was targeted because of his position as chief engineer. The colony couldn't function without his expertise. As for his son, he paused. We believe they wanted to maximize the emotional impact. They succeeded, said President Patterson, her voice hardening. What are our options? The room erupted in voices. Some called for immediate military action. Others urged caution and attempts at communication. A few even suggested surrender to the clearly superior force. Linda Mason, Earth's top diplomat, stood next. We should attempt contact. Perhaps there's been a terrible misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? A new voice cut through the chamber. A man had entered unannounced. He looked like an older version of John Carter. My brother and nephew weren't killed by mistake. President Patterson nodded to security to let him stay. Mr. Carter. Ethan Carter, he introduced himself. John's brother. I have a right to be here. You do, she agreed. And I promise you we will respond to this attack. Linda Mason tried again. We must attempt diplomatic. We've been sending signals for the past 12 hours, Admiral Nelson interrupted. Radio, light, every frequency we know. They're ignoring us completely. General Miller brought up a holographic display of Earth's defense capabilities. Our military forces are substantial but designed for Earth-based conflicts. Our space fleet is primarily exploratory. Not entirely, President Patterson said quietly. She looked around the room, then made a decision. Clear the chamber except for Security Council members. After most attendees left, including a protesting Ethan Carter, Patterson typed a command into her console. A hidden panel opened in the wall, revealing a secure room. What I'm about to show you has been developed in secret for the past decade, she explained as they followed her inside. A contingency we hoped never to use. The lights came on to reveal detailed models of ships unlike any in Earth's known fleet. Dr. Alan Wright, lead weapons scientist, stood waiting. Project Phoenix, Dr. Wright said. A fleet of advanced warships. Equipped with technology derived from theoretical physics most people thought was centuries away, Admiral Nelson examined the models with wide eyes. How many? 50 vessels ready to deploy. Another 100 can be completed within months now that we don't need to maintain secrecy. General Miller whistled. This changes everything. President Patterson addressed the remaining council members. I need unanimous approval to activate Phoenix Protocol. The vote was immediate and unanimous. Outside the council chamber, screens worldwide showed the same scenes. Crowds gathered in cities across Earth, watching replays of the execution. In New York's Times Square, thousands stood in the rain, silent tears mixing with raindrops. In Washington, D.C., the military recruitment center couldn't process volunteers fast enough. The line stretched for blocks. Similar scenes played out globally. Humanity wasn't just angry. It was united in a way never before seen in history. At NASA headquarters, scientists and engineers worked without breaks, analyzing every frame of footage for clues about Garaxian technology. In military bases worldwide, soldiers prepared for a fight unlike any they had trained for. In a secure underground facility in Nevada, Dr. Maria Gonzalez studied the Garaxian broadcast with intense focus. As Earth's leading xenobiologist, she had dreamed of first contact her entire career. Not like this. Their physiology suggests evolution in a high-gravity environment, she explained to her team. 4 eyes indicating a prey species originally. The vocal structures are fascinating. They shouldn't be able to produce human speech sounds. Her assistant pointed to a section of the screen. What about their weapons? Can we determine their function, Doctor? Gonzalez zoomed in. Some kind of directed energy, not projectiles. That might give us an advantage if they rely on energy shields designed to stop energy weapons. Commander Sam Rodriguez entered the lab. His Special Forces insignia gleamed on his uniform. Doctor, I need everything you can tell me about these aliens. My team is deploying as soon as the first ships are ready. Deploying where? We don't even know where their homeworld is. We're starting with New Horizon. Rescue survivors, gather intelligence, and prepare for the counterattack. Dr. Gonzalez nodded grimly. I'll have a full report in 6 hours. In orbit above Earth, construction facilities that had been disguised as research stations revealed their true purpose. The first Phoenix-class warships moved into position, their hulls gleaming in the sunlight. Captain Lisa Howard stood on the bridge of the USS Vengeance, the fleet's flagship. At 42, she had never commanded a warship. No one had, but her record in the Space Force was impeccable. All systems online, Captain, reported Lieutenant Paul Jackson from the tactical station. Weapons and shields at full capacity. Engineering reports the Alcubierre drive is functioning perfectly, added another officer. We can reach Proxima Centauri in under 3 days. Captain Howard studied the star map. New Horizon was only the beginning. The Garaxians had revealed themselves as an expansive empire. That meant they had multiple worlds, fleets, resources. Captain, Lieutenant Jackson called out. Incoming transmission from Earth Command. The view screen activated, showing President Patterson. Captain Howard, your orders are simple. Secure New Horizon, rescue our people, and gather all possible intelligence about the enemy. This is a reconnaissance mission, not a full engagement. Understood, Madam President. But, Patterson continued, her expression grim, if engaged by Garaxian forces, you are authorized to respond with full force. Show them humanity is not helpless. Yes, Madam President. After the transmission ended, Captain Howard addressed her crew. I know many of you watched those same images. John and Kyle Carter's deaths affected us all. But we are soldiers first. We will execute our mission with precision and discipline. She paused, looking at each officer. That said, if we encounter the beings responsible, we will show them exactly what happens when you attack humanity. On the view screen, Earth grew, smaller as the USS Vengeance and its battle group accelerated away. The stars beckoned, no longer just symbols of exploration and discovery, but now the backdrop for humanity's first interstellar war. Back on Earth, in a small apartment in Chicago, Ethan Carter packed a bag. He wasn't a soldier, but he had skills. John had taught him everything about engineering before leaving for the stars. On his screen, a military recruitment notice glowed. He'd already submitted his application. The response had been immediate. Report for duty in 24 hours. As he zipped his bag, Ethan looked at a photo of himself with John and Kyle, taken just before they left for New Horizon. I'm coming, he whispered, and I'm bringing hell with me. The USS Vengeance dropped out of faster-than-light travel with a flash of light. Proxima Centauri B hung in space before them, the once thriving New Horizon colony now partially dark and damaged. Captain Lisa Howard stood from her command chair, eyes fixed on the main view screen. Scan for life signs, she ordered, and keep shields at maximum. We don't know if the Garaxians left any surprises. Lieutenant Paul Jackson worked his console with practiced efficiency. Detecting approximately 2,000 human life signs, Captain. Less than half the colony's population. The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. Any sign of Garaxian ships? Captain Howard asked. Nothing on long-range scanners, reported the sensor officer. But I'm detecting an unusual energy signature near the colony's main communication array. Could be a monitoring device. Captain Howard nodded. Prepare landing parties. Medical teams first priority, then security and engineering. As the crew carried out her orders, she activated a secure channel. Howard to Special Forces Team Alpha. Commander Rodriguez, are you ready? Commander Sam Rodriguez's voice came through clearly. Team is prepped and ready, Captain. Just give the word. You have it. Your mission parameters remain unchanged. Find any Garaxian technology you can and secure it for analysis. Understood. Rodriguez out. Captain Howard turned to her communications officer. Send word to Earth. We've arrived at New Horizon and are beginning rescue operations. On Earth, the massive holographic display in United Earth Command showed the position of the USS Vengeance and its battle group. Admiral Diane Nelson watched with intense focus as data streamed in. No Garaxian presence detected yet, she reported to President Patterson. Captain Howard is proceeding with rescue operations. Dr. Alan Wright entered the command center, excitement visible on his face despite his obvious exhaustion. Madam President Admiral, we've made a breakthrough. He brought up a new display showing complex equations and diagrams. Based on the footage from New Horizon and our analysis of Garaxian weaponry, we've developed countermeasures. Their energy weapons operate on principles similar to our theoretical models, but with key differences. Can we defend against them? President Patterson asked. Better than that, Dr. Wright smiled. We can adapt their own technology against them. I've already sent the specifications to Captain Howard's science team. Admiral Nelson studied the data. This could change everything. The smell of smoke and burnt metal filled the air as Commander Rodriguez led his team through the ruins of New Horizon's Central Plaza, the site of the execution. He forced himself to stay focused on the mission, not the anger burning in his chest. Movement ahead, whispered Sergeant Keith Bennett, raising his weapon. The team took positions behind debris as a figure stumbled into view. A human survivor, badly injured but alive. U.S. Special Forces, Rodriguez called out. You're safe now. The survivor, a woman in a colony security uniform, looked up in disbelief. Earth came for us? We came for all of you, Rodriguez said as a medic rushed to treat her wounds. What can you tell us about the Garaxians? Did they leave anything behind? The woman nodded weakly. Their commander used a control room in the north sector, left some equipment. Rodriguez signaled to Sergeant Bennett. Take point, let's move. In orbit, the USS Vengeance suddenly went on high alert as alarms blared across the bridge. Multiple ships dropping out of FTL, Lieutenant Jackson shouted. Garaxian signatures. Captain. On the view screen, 5 alien vessels appeared. Larger than the Vengeance, their angular, predatory design left no doubt about their purpose. Red alert, Captain Howard ordered calmly. All hands to battle stations, position the fleet to protect the colony. The communication officer looked up. Captain, we're being hailed. On screen, the image of a Garaxian commander filled the view screen. 4 yellow eyes studied the humans with cold calculation. Human vessels, the alien spoke in perfect English. You trespass in territory now claimed by the Garaxian Empire. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed. Captain Howard stood tall. This is Captain Lisa Howard of the United Earth Fleet. You attacked our colony without provocation and murdered our citizens. We are here to render aid to survivors and return them home. We will not withdraw. The Garaxian commander's upper eyes narrowed. Your primitive vessels are no match for Imperial warships. This is your final warning. And this is yours, Howard replied. Earth knows what you've done. If you want war with humanity, you've already started it. But I don't think you understand what you've awakened. Without warning, the lead Garaxian ship fired, a beam of energy streaking toward the Vengeance. But instead of impacting the shields, something unexpected happened. The energy seemed to bend around the human ship and dissipate harmlessly. Lieutenant, Jackson grinned. Dr. Wright's countermeasures work. Their weapons can't penetrate our adaptive shields. Captain Howard didn't smile. Target their weapon systems only. I want these ships disabled, not destroyed. We need prisoners and intelligence. The Vengeance and its battle group opened fire. Precision beams struck the Garaxian vessels, focusing on weapon emplacements and propulsion systems. The aliens, clearly surprised by the effectiveness of human weapons, began evasive maneuvers. They're retreating, shouted an officer. Pursue the lead vessel, Howard ordered. Let the others go to spread the word. Humanity isn't defenseless, after all. On the surface, Commander Rodriguez's team had secured the Garaxian command post. Sergeant Bennett worked with a technician to download alien data from their consoles. "Sir, you need to see this," Bennett called out. "Their tactical database is extensive. Star charts, fleet positions, communication protocols. It's all here." Rodriguez studied the displays. "Can we access their communications network?" "I think so," Bennett replied. "Should I attempt contact?" "No," Rodriguez said after a moment's thought. "But make sure we can listen in. I want to know their next move." The technician looked up from another console, face pale. "Commander, according to this data, what attacked New Horizon wasn't their main fleet. It was just a small strike force." Rodriguez's expression hardened. "How small?" "Less than 1% of their total military strength." The implications hung heavy in the air. If a tiny fraction of the Garaxian military could cause such destruction, what could their full might do to Earth? In orbit, the USS Vengeance had successfully disabled the lead Garaxian vessel. Captain Howard ordered boarding parties to capture the alien crew and secure their technology. "Captain," Lieutenant Jackson called out, "the Athena AI system has completed its analysis of Garaxian communication patterns from the data we've intercepted." "And?" "They're in panic mode, Captain. They expected us to be primitive, barely able to reach our own solar system. Our technology level has completely shocked them." For the first time, Captain Howard allowed herself a small smile. "Send all data to Earth immediately, and prepare a secure channel to the President. She needs to know the Garaxians can be fought. They can be beaten." As rescue operations continued on the surface, news of the first human victory against the Garaxians spread through the surviving colonists. Hope replaced despair, and in the wreckage of what had once been John Carter's engineering bay, Commander Rodriguez found something unexpected. A personal log recorded just days before the attack. John's voice played from the damaged device. "Kyle asked me today if I was afraid of what might be out there among the stars. I told him the truth, that I was, but that fear shouldn't stop us from exploring. Humanity has always faced the unknown. It's how we grow, how we learn. Whatever's waiting for us out there, I believe we'll be ready." Commander Rodriguez carefully secured the device. Ethan Carter would want to hear his brother's final thoughts. Above, the disabled Garaxian ship was brought under human control. The first prize in a war the aliens never expected to fight. A war they had started with a single terrible act of cruelty. A war they were about to learn they could not win. 1 month after the first battle at New Horizon, Earth was a planet transformed. Factories that once made cars now produced spacecraft components. Universities turned their research labs toward weapons development. Civilians trained for combat. The entire planet operated with single-minded purpose. Vice Admiral William Stone stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, Earth's newest and largest warship. 3 times the size of the Vengeance, it carried enough firepower to level a city. Around it, 50 more Phoenix-class vessels formed the largest battle fleet in human history. "Final systems check complete, Admiral," reported his second-in-command. "The fleet is ready." Stone nodded, his weathered face solemn. At 60, he had spent his life in Earth's Navy before transferring to Space Command. Now he led humanity's main battle force against an enemy that had ruled the stars for millennia. "Signal all ships," he ordered. "Prepare for jump to the Arcturus system." Intelligence gathered from captured Garaxian ships had revealed a major alien outpost there. Stone's mission was simple: destroy it completely. The fleet vanished in flashes of light as their Alcubierre drives activated, tearing holes in space itself to travel faster than light. In a secure lab beneath Geneva, Dr. Elizabeth Ward worked frantically on her computer. Holographic displays showed simulations of a star going supernova in controlled patterns. "Run it again," she told her team. "We need to be absolutely certain the containment field will hold." A younger scientist looked nervous. "Dr. Ward, even if the Sunbreaker works as designed, we're talking about a weapon that could destroy entire solar systems." "I know exactly what we're building," Dr. Ward replied quietly. "I also know what happens if we lose this war." The simulation ran again. This time, The virtual star collapsed exactly as calculated, sending a directed wave of energy that destroyed only specific targets while leaving others untouched. Dr. Ward closed her eyes briefly. It works. Inform President Patterson that project. Sunbreaker is operational. The Arcturus system had no warning. One moment, space was empty. The next, 51 Earth warships appeared, weapons already charging. All ships, commence attack, Vice Admiral Stone commanded. Primary targets are defense platforms and communication arrays. The Garaxian outpost scrambled to respond. Their orbital defenses activated, but too slowly. Human ships struck with devastating precision, disabling key systems before the aliens could organize a proper defense. Lieutenant Kevin Reeves led a squadron of new fighter craft, small and agile vessels that darted between larger Garaxian ships. His targeting computer locked onto a communication tower on the outpost's main structure. Fox 3, he said calmly, launching his missiles. The tower exploded in a ball of flame. Target destroyed. Similar scenes played out across the battlefield as Earth forces systematically dismantled the Garaxian outpost. It was not just revenge, it was strategy. Each destroyed facility cut off the aliens' ability to coordinate their empire. From his command chair, Admiral Stone watched the battle unfold. Reports of success came in from all sectors. The Garaxians had been caught completely off guard. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "we're detecting a transmission from the outpost to what appears to be their homeworld. Our linguists are translating now." "Let me hear it," Stone ordered. A voice came through the speakers, the Garaxian language translated by AI. "Humans have weapons beyond expected parameters. Request immediate reinforcement. The architect must be informed that his assessment was incorrect. These are not primitive beings, they are." The transmission cut off as the final communication array was destroyed. Stone's expression remained grim. "They know we're coming now." On Earth, Gloria Martinez worked through the night, analyzing Garaxian communications intercepted from across space. As Earth's top intelligence officer, she had been tasked with finding the location of the alien homeworld. Her eyes widened as patterns began to emerge. "Computer, cross-reference these stellar coordinates with our astronomic database." The computer displayed a star system previously unknown to humans. According to the Garaxian data, it contained not just their homeworld, but the seat of their entire empire. Martinez immediately contacted United Earth Command. "I found it," she said simply. "I know where they live." In the depths of space, aboard the massive Garaxian command vessel, the executor paced nervously. As second in command of all Garaxian forces, he rarely felt fear. But the reports coming in from across the Empire filled him with dread. "The humans have destroyed 17 outposts in the past month," he told the architect. "Their technology is far more advanced than our intelligence suggested. They've adapted our own weapons against us." The architect stood with his back to the executor, staring at displays showing the extent of human attacks. "They are insects," he said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Insects don't destroy Imperial warships," the executor countered. "The attack on their colony was a mistake. We should open communication channels, negotiate." "Negotiate?" The architect turned, his four eyes blazing. "The Empire does not negotiate with lesser species." "These are not lesser beings," the executor insisted. "Our calculations were wrong, and now they fight with a fury no species has shown before. The humans don't just want territory or resources. They want vengeance." The architect was silent for a long moment. "Summon the Imperial fleet, all of it. We will crush the humans with overwhelming force. That will leave our core worlds vulnerable to the Draconians and other rival powers." The executor warned. "I don't care. The humans must be stopped before other species see our weakness." The executor bowed and left to carry out his orders, but doubt filled his mind. For the first time in his long life, he wondered if the Empire had finally met its match. Ethan Carter had completed his accelerated military training. Now he stood in a hangar bay, looking at the sleek assault shuttle that would carry him and his team into battle. On his uniform, he wore a patch with John and Kyle's names. "First mission," said a voice behind him. Commander Rodriguez approached, his own uniform showing signs of recent combat. You ready for this? I've been ready since the day they died, Ethan replied. Rodriguez nodded. We're going after a high-value target. Intelligence believes this ship carries someone called the Executor, apparently second in command of their entire empire. Ethan checked his weapon, a new design capable of penetrating Garaxian armor. Just get me on that ship. Aboard the USS Defiance, Admiral Stone received the latest intelligence from Earth. President Patterson's face appeared on his private communication screen. William, Gloria Martinez has located their homeworld. It's in a system we've never charted, nearly 1,000 light-years from Earth. Stone absorbed the information. What are my orders, Madam President? Patterson's expression was resolute. Assemble the fleet, all of it. We're taking the fight to their doorstep. And the Sunbreaker? Dr. Ward is installing it on the USS Justice as we speak. It's a weapon of last resort, William. I pray we don't need to use it. Stone nodded. Understood. We'll be ready to launch the final offensive within 48 hours. As the communication ended, Stone looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there was the heart of the Garaxian Empire, a civilization that had ruled the galaxy through fear for thousands of years. They had never known fear themselves. Until now. The human battle fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Garaxian home system. 200 ships, the combined might of Earth and her colonies, assembled in perfect formation. At their center, the massive USS Justice carried the Sunbreaker weapon, a last resort that no one wanted to use. On the bridge of the USS Defiance, Admiral William Stone studied the tactical display. The Garaxian homeworld glowed as a red dot, surrounded by defensive platforms, moons, and thousands of warships. They were expecting us, he said quietly. President Olivia Patterson's image appeared on the main screen, broadcast from Earth. Admiral, you have your orders. Offer them one chance to surrender. If they refuse, proceed with the attack. Yes, Madam President. As her image disappeared, Stone turned to his communications officer. Open a channel to the Garaxian command. The view screen changed to show the architect, his scaled face betraying no emotion as he regarded the humans. You are bold to come here, human. Your fleet is impressive, but it cannot stand against the full might of the Empire. Admiral Stone stood tall. I am Admiral William Stone of Earth. In the name of humanity and justice, I demand your immediate and unconditional surrender. Your forces attacked our colony without provocation and murdered our citizens. Return all human prisoners and withdraw from human territory. The architect's four eyes blinked in what might have been amusement. The Empire does not surrender, human. We have ruled the stars for 10,000 years. Your species barely manages interstellar travel. This is your only warning, Stone replied. Surrender or face the consequences. The architect ended the transmission without another word. Admiral Stone nodded to his tactical officer. Signal. All ships. Commence attack. The battle that followed was unlike anything in human history. Earth ships darted between much larger Garaxian vessels, using their speed and advanced shields to avoid destruction while striking critical systems. Fighter squadrons led by Lieutenant Kevin Reeves targeted enemy weapon emplacements, creating openings for larger vessels to exploit. On the Garaxian command ship, the Executor watched with growing alarm as human forces systematically dismantled their defenses. They're breaking through the outer perimeter, he reported. Their attack patterns are unpredictable. The architect seemed unmoved. Deploy the Imperial Guard. Nothing breaches the homeworld's atmosphere. And the other reports? The Executor pressed. Multiple systems are reporting attacks. The humans have somehow divided their forces. For the first time, the architect showed concern. Impossible. Their fleet is here. Not all of it, the Executor said. They've freed the subjugated worlds in the Orion sector. The Crawl and Viridian species have joined them. We're facing rebellion across half the Empire. Aboard a small, stealthy assault craft, Ethan Carter checked his weapon one last time. Commander Rodriguez sat across from him with 20 elite soldiers, Ready for the most important mission of the war. 2 minutes to breach, the pilot announced. Rodriguez addressed his team. Our objective is simple. Capture the architect alive if possible. Dead if necessary. He ordered the deaths of John and Kyle Carter, along with thousands of other humans. Today we bring him to justice. The assault craft attached itself to the hull of the Garaxian command ship. Cutting torches burned through the alien metal, creating an entry point. Alarms blared as the human team poured into the ship. Ethan moved with cold precision, his months of training replacing grief with focused determination. Every corridor they secured brought him closer to the being who had ordered his brother's death. On the USS Justice, Dr. Elizabeth Ward monitored the Sunbreaker's systems. The weapon was armed but not yet activated. She prayed it would stay that way. Dr. Ward called one of her technicians. We're detecting unusual energy readings from the Garaxian homeworld. They appear to be powering up some kind of planetary weapon. Ward's blood ran cold. She immediately contacted Admiral Stone. Admiral, the Garaxians have a planet killer of their own. Energy readings suggest it could destroy our entire fleet with one shot. Stone's voice came back tense but controlled. How long until it's ready to fire? 15 minutes, maybe less. And the Sunbreaker? Ward hesitated only briefly. Ready on your command. On the Garaxian command ship, Ethan and Rodriguez's team fought their way to the central chamber. Alien. Guards fell before them, unprepared for the ferocity of human close-quarters combat. They breached the final door to find the architect and the executor, surrounded by elite guards. The chamber's windows showed the massive space battle raging outside. Surrender, Rodriguez demanded, his weapon trained on the architect. The alien leader stood defiantly. The Empire does not surrender to lesser beings. Ethan stepped forward, removing his helmet. My name is Ethan Carter. You killed my brother John and my nephew Kyle at New Horizon Colony. Remember them? Recognition flickered in the architect's eyes. The engineer and his offspring. A necessary demonstration. A mistake. Ethan replied. The biggest your empire ever made. The executor suddenly moved between them. Enough, he turned to the architect. This war is lost. You've led us to destruction with your pride. The humans have disabled our planetary weapon. Our fleet is in ruins. Traitor, the architect hissed. No, the executor countered. I am trying to save what remains of our people. He faced Rodriguez. I offer my surrender and request negotiations for peace. Admiral Stone received the news with surprise. The executor has surrendered? And the architect is in custody? Yes, sir, came Rodriguez's voice over the comm. The Garaxian second in command wants to negotiate. He claims many worlds in their empire were conquered against their will and would join us. Stone contacted President Patterson immediately. The situation had changed dramatically. Deactivate the Sunbreaker, Patterson ordered, after hearing the news. If they're willing to talk, we'll talk, but from a position of strength. 1 week later, on the neutral ground of an uninhabited moon, the peace conference began. Representatives from Earth sat across from the executor and other Garaxian officials. The architect remained in custody, awaiting trial for war crimes. But the table held more than just humans and Garaxians. A dozen other species were present, former subjects of the Empire now claiming their independence. President Patterson addressed the gathering. Today marks a new chapter in galactic history. The Garaxian Empire's reign of terror is over. In its place, we propose a galactic council, where all species have equal voice and equal rights. The executor bowed his head. We have much to atone for. The Empire began with noble purpose thousands of years ago, but became corrupted by power and fear. Perhaps this defeat is our salvation. As the negotiations continued, Ethan Carter stood at a viewport, looking out at the stars. A holographic image of John and Kyle floated before him. It's done, he whispered to their memory. You've been avenged, not just by me, but by all of humanity. Commander Rodriguez joined him. The president wants to build the council headquarters at New Horizon. A memorial to John and Kyle will stand at its center. Ethan nodded. finally feeling the weight lift from his shoulders. They would have liked that. John always said our future was in the stars. Outside, ships from a dozen worlds moved peacefully through space. The war was over. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and not only survived but triumphed. In just a few months, humans had gone from an isolated species to a major power in the galaxy, all because an empire made the fatal mistake of killing a father and his son, not understanding the fury such an act would unleash. As the peace treaty was signed, a new age began, not just for Earth, but for all the stars within reach. And at its foundation stood the memory of two humans whose deaths had changed the course of galactic history.